Good evening. The strikes have started and journeys around the city have slowed or stalled completely. Let's take you to the main entrance to Waterloo Station. It's looking pretty busy this evening. Some commuters there telling us they're actually getting trains rather than the tube. There are also lots of people grabbing hire bikes there too. Many people, of course, will have gone home early or just stayed away altogether. Lots are working from home today, I suspect. Well, let's get an update on what the tube situation is right now. 6 hours in and the Circle line is completely closed. The Central, Piccadilly and Metropolitan lines are mostly closed too, and elsewhere the delays and cancellations, as you can see, are building up. Well, let's go to our political correspondent Simon Harris, who's at King's Cross. Simon.
Well, London certainly felt quieter today as many people opted to work from home, and that's certainly the case here at King's Cross. It does feel quiet. Although tonight, Transport for London said the impact of the strike wasn't as severe as it thought it would be. It's managing to run half of its trains, although of course that's of little comfort if you're trying to catch a train in part of London where there are no tubes at all, especially in central London, where the journey home tonight is going to be a challenge.
Lunchtime in central London and underground stations were shutting up shop. The strike officially began at midday, with services on some lines winding down to a standstill.
We're going to the theatre later on, but how we're going to get back to the car, I don't know.
How I get home, let's figure it out. Taxi maybe?
Most likely I'll probably have to get a taxi, which is going to be really expensive.
My commute back, it'll be very frustrating.
It'll take about an hour and a half longer than normal.
I work with a group of fellow students, so hopefully we'll walk back if it gets bad.
The pay rise they've had compared with other people, I just think it's outrageous. It's just being downright greedy.
At Piccadilly Circus Station, it was nothing like Piccadilly Circus. The normal crowd of commuters, shoppers and tourists was nowhere to be seen. Bad news for Anand, who's run a key-cutting kiosk here for 35 years. Business was dead today.
It probably will be getting worse the whole day. Tomorrow I might not even open up. I will not be allowed to open up. This strike really doesn't make any sense, Simon. Really, it does not make any sense. If you've been told, any layman have been told that, listen, work less, we'll pay you the same, why would you not?
Alex's new cocktail bar in Shoreditch relies on people dropping in for a drink on their way home. It's his staff who'll be hardest hit by the strike if customers work from home.
They'll have to go home early, revenue will be dropped, they won't be getting the service charge that we normally would. In this industry, a lot of people are on base pay, and service in this industry accounts for quite a lot of that. So really, I'm mainly worried about my staff.
The average tube driver earns between £70,000 and £75,000 a year. They work a 36-hour week over 5 days. TfL is proposing a 34-hour week over 4 days. The RMT wants a 32-hour week over 4 days.
Around half of the Underground's drivers are in the RMT. The rest are in a rival union, ASLEF, which likes the idea of a 4-day week and more days off.
The RMT has accused Underground bosses of trying to impose the shorter working week without any meaningful negotiations. TfL says the new rosters will be limited to a pilot scheme on the Bakerloo line and will be voluntary. Any driver who wants to stick with a 5-day week instead of 4 will have that option.
Even those services that are running tonight are going to finish early, with Transport for London advising passengers to finish their journeys by 8 o'clock. Tomorrow, more disruption. Trains won't start running. Those that are running won't be going until 7:30 in the morning. The strike's due to end at midday, but the disruption is likely to last until tomorrow evening. Then on Thursday, it starts all over again with the same pattern of delays and cancellations lasting until Friday.
Next, as pressure mounts on London's councils to generate more housing, boroughs like Barnet are seeing an increasing number of developers applying to build on the green belt. But it's a political hot potato that could see Labour voters turning Tory in the upcoming local elections, while Reform and the Greens are also trying to eat into their support. And as our political correspondent Simon Harris has been finding, local issues are bumping into national concerns.
It's an unlikely election battleground, a disused pig farm in the village of Arkley. There are plans to build 300 homes here, but this is the green belt on the fringe of the London borough of Barnet, and the land would first have to be redesignated grey belt, much to the fury of some locals.
This grey belt, converting green belt to a grey belt, it's kind of a very manipulative way of, just mixing village to urban city. There won't be any boundaries left.
A major development like this is going to be a very substantial erosion of that, blurring the boundaries between our settlements.
The government wants to free up some greenbelt land as part of its plan to build 1.5 million new homes in England by 2029. The Conservatives believe it's a Labour policy which will prove unpopular with some voters in Barnet on May the 7th.
This is a suburban area where people have access to nature, and also they got the tubes into town. But in the end, it's just going to become part of some urban sprawl that means nothing to anybody.
Barnet was one of Labour's trophy wins in 2022. The Tories are pushing hard to win it back, and it's one of a number of London boroughs where international issues might eclipse local concerns. Barnet's large Jewish community has been the target of attacks in recent weeks. Ambulances belonging to a Jewish charity were firebombed, and there have been attempted petrol bomb attacks on synagogues.
Labour politicians from the Prime Minister down condemned the attacks, but some Jewish voters haven't forgiven the government for its decision to formally recognise the State of Palestine.
For Labour councillors, it's meant some tricky conversations with voters, but the council leader is putting a positive spin on government policy.
I think there was a bit of doubt at the time. Why do that without getting something in return? But it was well coordinated between a lot of European countries. It included a lot of Arab countries coming on. And what it did do is put the idea of a two-state solution back on the table as an option.
4 years ago, voters in Barnet elected only Labour and Conservative councillors. But defections mean the council now has a Reform UK councillor and one from the Green Party.
How worried are you that Barnet's Jewish voters will be put off voting Green because of the party's support for the Palestinians?
I haven't had an experience of Jewish residents who have outrightly said they will not vote for the Greens. In fact, it's the opposite of that. Zach Polanski is the only political leader who is from the Jewish community.
Would Reform go into a coalition with the Conservatives?
That's a difficult question because I think actually we're going to win the council. But if there was a hung council, then we would have to take practical steps to ensure that the council services continue to run with whichever party.
The Liberal Democrats have no councillors in Barnet at the moment. What makes you think you're going to win any this time?
I think people are really hacked off with the two main parties. I genuinely think they are, and I think people really want good community councillors and good community representatives, and the Lib Dems have shown across London that we're really, really effective at sorting out the stuff like potholes.
In 2022, Sir Keir Starmer chose Barnet as the venue to launch Labour's London election campaign. 24 hours after polling day, he was back in the borough to celebrate Labour's win. The latest opinion polls don't point to a return visit.
Simon, we're really getting a sense today of how voters are feeling, aren't we?
Yes, Labour was already bracing itself for a bad night in London, but a new opinion poll out today paints an even bleaker picture for Sir Keir Starmer. According to YouGov, Labour is predicted to lose 6 of the 21 London boroughs it currently controls. Now, Barnet, where I was reporting from earlier, is one of them. That looks set to return to the Conservatives. But in 4 other Labour-controlled boroughs, it looks like the Greens could become the biggest party. They're Hackney, Lambeth, Lewisham and Waltham Forest. And in another Labour-controlled borough in East London, Barking and Dagenham, it looks like Reform could take over as the largest party from Labour. Reform also looks set to be the largest party in Bromley, currently Conservative-controlled, and in Havering. So in many of the boroughs, it's too close to call. But Labour, once so dominant in London, is facing a real fight.
Indeed. All right, Simon, thank you.
Good evening. For the second time this week, underground lines have closed completely or in parts, making journeys much longer and much more unpredictable. To complicate matters, there's a separate walkout by bus drivers who belong to the Unite Union. With picket lines outside stations and fewer passengers inside them, the mayor is under pressure to intervene. In a moment, we'll be talking to the RMT union about what's stopping negotiations and the chances of even more strikes to come. First, though, here's our political correspondent, Simon Harris.
It's the middle of the day and tube trains are being parked up in their depots. This was Northfields in West London, home to part of the Piccadilly line fleet. Drivers in the RMT union were again on strike in protest at plans to cut their working week from 5 days to 4, leaving some passengers bemused.
Look at all the other industries, they don't have a shorter working week. I mean, if they want more pay, that's fair enough, but a shorter working week, I don't think that's reasonable.
Most of us have to work hard to earn what we do, and that doesn't sound like a lot of work for the money they're earning.
I don't mind them striking, really, if that's the only way you can protest about situations they're not happy about.
At Leather Lane Market in Clerkenwell, there was a brisk lunchtime trade at the street food stalls, but appearances can be deceptive. The strike is hitting these small businesses.
It has made it very hard for our customers to come in. It's made it very hard for our staff to come in, and it has reduced the amount of sales that we've been making each day.
Foong reckons her trade is down 50% on strike days.
It's less half of them now, like the tube strike.
That's bad news for you.
It is, yeah.
Louisa's flower stall is another casualty on day 3 of the strike.
You normally get quite a few people walking through on their way to work, and of course we haven't got that now because tube strike has stopped people coming in.
Even before the start of the walkout, the tube was quieter than normal, suggesting many people opted to work from home.
Frustratingly for everyone affected by the strike, the dispute appears to be deadlocked. The RMT says TfL won't negotiate. TfL says it's happy to talk.
And there appear to be other sticking points.
The RMT says it hasn't got a guarantee that these new working patterns will be voluntary.
The working patterns are voluntary, so anybody who does not want to move from a 5-day to a 4-day will not need to. There are lots of details about how that will work in practice. The RMT know that, they understand the details of that. We need to sit down together with them and the other trade unions.
City Hall Conservatives are trying to pressure the Mayor to intervene.
What he should be doing is standing up to the union and say, your drivers actually get paid a very decent wage, and at this time when Londoners are suffering with making ends meet, getting to and from work, this is not the time to have a strike. But instead, he's disappeared.
Tonight, a spokesperson for Sir Sadiq Khan hit back, saying the Mayor continues to urge that there be a swift resolution to the dispute. TfL said it was hoping to run more trains than during Tuesday's strike. Simon Harris, ITV News, Oxford Circus.